Welcome everyone. Welcome to the July 2021 monthly wealth expansion forecast. This month begins on a 4 energy, a Jupiter day, and ends on a 7 energy Uranus day. So that's giving us the foundation for spiritual evolution and expansion through that Jupiter energy, where we may find ourselves jolted forward in the expansion when we least expect it. And the 3 energy month brings an amplification of all of it and everything that we're focusing on. So we have Cancer influencing with Venus and Mars dancing together the first 3 weeks of the month, and it sets the tone for a more feminine energy focus and internal shifts. And the heightening of intuition is going to be a big theme. It will be off the charts. If you haven't noticed that happening already, which I totally have. And for many of us in this community too, our ability to channel is also going to expand. So kind of exciting stuff. There's a Cancery water flowing like an amplified rate. So this month could feel very fast moving, kind of like a curvy river with some possible rapids every once in a while that you hit. And especially as we near the month's end, we're going to require some patience, flexibility, and a flexing of the pivot muscle that we began to build last year in the first half of 2021. So we've already been learning how to do this. We can totally navigate this. The changes are going to be mainly internal, which means huge shifts in consciousness for us personally and in the collective. And of course, that means a lot of upheaval with the collective that can bring a lot of confusion and all of the things that consciousness shifts can bring. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and what we can do to assist. This is the Jupiter-Uranus amplification that runs the theme for this month. The blessings come through the big triggers, the synchronicities, lots of surprises, and the month came in a bit bumpy, which, you know, we've already kind of started getting the feel for what's coming, and it'll go out the same way, calling again for a sudden adjustment as we enter the month of August. We're being called into a deeper trust of ourselves, our intuition, and our connection to Source, more than ever before. Can you trust the Jupiter energy and just lean into the unknown? That's what we're being asked this month. Can you practice learning as you go? Can you believe that you can have it all and that you wish to create like everything that you wish to create for yourself in the world? So if you can lean into that, you're gonna really love this month. The key to all of this is prioritizing your emotions over your ego. So interrupting any thoughts, ideas, belief systems that no longer serve you as they arise. You don't really have to go looking for them. They're being shown to you. If you haven't already seen that from what happened last week as we were entering this new month, we were being shown a lot of things. And you may notice a resurgence of old habits and addictions coming up to be cleared due to all the planetary retrograde action. If this happens, don't freak out. It's just coming up to be cleared. So, you know, I have a friend who had a resurgence of an addiction and she was, you know, really concerned about it. And it's like, no, this is coming up to be cleared. So patience and trusting that knowingness, trusting the blessings that are coming with this Jupiter-filled month. So it could be food, it could be substances, it could also be people, and it could be your negative thinking. So what you're thinking is really key this month with that 3 energy. It's very mental energy and what you're thinking, because we've also got a very physical energy with the 4-7 happening. What you're thinking is going to manifest physically very quickly. So it's really important to pay attention to your thoughts. So if negative thinking is your addiction, that could be what's coming up to clear as well. When you focus on creating what you want, you won't need the addictions going forward. So, you know, those are really because we're avoiding being aligned with our true selves, right? So you'll be able to channel that creativity into your big visions and just practice this daily this month and you'll be golden. So how do we prioritize getting in and maintaining a high vibe emotional state in order to release the addiction? So we lean into what we've been learning to do since April, which is awareness, acceptance, self-forgiveness, forgiveness of others, taking responsibility for our emotional states by learning to master our emotions, practicing extremely balanced feminine and masculine energy throughout our day, every day. So this is requiring a pause several times throughout the day and really checking in with your body, checking in with your physical state, your emotional state, your mental state, and your spiritual state. Am I connected? Am I doing things from inspired action? Most of us tend to focus on the doing and we let self-care go by the wayside. So this month we need to up our self-care game even more and expand our view of self-care beyond the physical body and basic needs. If that's all we've been doing, it's not enough. We need our self-care to encompass physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being consistently. If there's anything missing from your self-care in any or all of these areas, you were shown that this past week. And as June came to a close and July began, I mean, it was just kind of in our face, right? So for me, it was working in a balanced way and discipline with bedtime, which for me is intertwined because I get, into what I'm doing and then I don't stop soon enough to get myself ready to bed, blah, blah, blah. So for you, you've probably been shown what it is. And making those adjustments is really key earlier in this month to helping you navigate the energy successfully. So let me know in the comments what came up for you this past week. And if you're not sure, reflection this weekend will be helpful in knowing where to maintain awareness for this month so that you can really make the adjustments where you need to. And before I go further, I just want to say hello to everyone here on the live and on the replay. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to hear in the comments if this is resonating with you and if you have any questions. I'd also like to introduce myself to those of you who may not already know me. I'm Kristen Vallis. I'm a wealth expansion and self-mastery coach and quantum numerologist. And I use a variety of tools, including my knowledge of universal laws, numerology, astrology, intuition, oracle, channeling, and my experiential wisdom to put together a monthly forecast to help you leverage the energies to your advantage and to create your big visions and step into a life that you love. So let me just check and see if we have any chat messages right now. Okay, so I'm going to dive in then into more of the forecast. So there's a lot of 10 energy coming up in the card reading for the overall month. The overall month, we got the Star Seer. And this means, this is again, like with that 10 energy, we've got the Jupiter, the blessings, the activation influence, which means great things are possible. Yay. Lots of spiritual expansion, especially in the art of understanding the flow of giving and receiving. So the 10 is also about the new and innovation. The 10 creates from nothingness. So oftentimes things don't work out the way they hope or think they will. But the message here is that if you trust and take inspired action, even if you don't know why or it doesn't make sense, the outcome will be more in alignment with your big vision and ultimately with you than you can ever imagine. So really just trusting those inspirations as they come in, your intuition. And the clarity around all this will develop as you take those inspired actions. But it's funny, like I just had this happen to me this past week. So I was speaking at the ICSA conference. I posted about that, the International Cultic Studies Association, about my experience in my big awakening was by being in a cult and having to escape the cult and recover and all of that. And so for me, I received this inspired action back in early 2019. I had just come out of being homeless and, speaking at this conference was like the last thing on my mind. And I got an email just randomly from them, announcing that they were, accepting submissions to speak at the conference in 2020. And for some reason, even though it was like, I couldn't figure out how that would fit into a holistic health coaching business, which is what I was focused on creating at the time, I I took the inspired action. I was inspired to submit for it, and I got chosen to speak. And then 2020 happened, so the conference was canceled, and 2021 came, and they decided to do it online. So I ended up speaking at this conference, and what ended up happening through that speaking is it ended up completely aligning with my new focus for my business in terms of self-mastery and teaching the brain game. And so it was just perfect. And if I hadn't taken that inspired action back then, because it didn't make sense to me, I wouldn't have spoken at that conference. So that's what I'm talking about, by really listening to those nudges, even if they don't make sense at all. Like, just do it anyway, and you'll figure it out as you go. And sometimes it could be, for me, it was 2 years later when it was like, oh, now I see why I was nudged to do this. So it could be some time before you know why and see where it all fits together. And that's okay. Just trust. This is where the trusting your intuition is really, really huge this month. So we're being shown what needs to shift this month in order to receive our big visions through the triggers that we're going to see, and also signs and synchronicities, and perhaps some physical manifestations showing up as well, because this is a very physical month and things are happening so fast. So there may be some things that arise that let us know that we're on path. Now, if you feel off path and you're confused because your decisions feel right, trust the messages you're getting through the triggers. The triggers are going to let you know where you're misaligned. And your higher self likely has bigger plans than you do. So trust that whatever's coming up is coming up for a reason, and clear your stuff, clear your triggers, so that you can keep moving forward and keep expanding. And also keep in mind that if your vision requires a huge leap from where you are now to where you're going, then how the journey unfolds is going to depend on how willing you are to shift into it and into the unknown. So that all plays a key role. Intuitive clarity is a theme, like I mentioned before, and we're learning to lean into and trust ourselves and our intuition more and more as it's amplified this month. Trust your inner guidance. Your inner GPS will never steer you wrong. It's that soft, feminine inner confidence and knowingness. Keep your focus inward and on your big vision. Be mindful of your thoughts, because not only is telepathy on the rise and expanding again this month, so more people will know what you're thinking, but your thoughts and emotional states are creating your reality whether or not you're paying attention to them. So pay attention to them so you can create what you want. Emotional mastery and personal responsibility are of paramount importance this month because of that 3 amplification energy. The 3 can also be about disruption. So especially when coupled with the 5 energy year and the 4-7 influence of the month with that Uranus coming in, this means change and big blessings if you flow with the changes instead of resisting them. So the 3 can be in detours too. It can bring in detours. So there's so much creative energy with a 3 that it can become scattered. Although I don't think that's going to be as big an issue because we have the 4 kind of creating that foundational container, but it's still something to be aware of. So be sure to align with what you want to create multiple times throughout each day in order to stay on path, like blinders on, Don't let yourself get distracted by all of the, different things that come up. And, the outside world is trying to distract us constantly in a most amplified way right now. And we'll probably see more of that this month. So really stay focused on what you're creating and don't worry about anything else going on around you. You just trust that if you need to know something about what's going on in the outside world, you'll know. You'll know because your intuition is really heightened. Just trust it, trust it, trust it. The first 2/3 of the month are in Cancer. The new moon in Cancer is on the evening of July 9th here in Los Angeles, and that can mean you may be feeling more emotional than usual. And or old emotions, like with so many planets in retrograde can be coming up to be cleared, especially with the Chiron retrograde beginning July 15th and 16th, because Chiron's all about the inner child stuff. So from a physical world standpoint, you could find your focus during this time actually on romantic relationships, because there's the Venus-Mars dance going on, and family and home because of that Cancer influence, and also that Chiron, right? You may move or redecorate. You might begin a new relationship if you're not in one currently. You might get pregnant or give birth, whether you're expected to or not. And you could welcome a new pet into your home. So those are some more fun interruptions that might be happening with that 3 energy coming in. From a business perspective, you might be expanding into a new office space or expanding your team. You might focus on being more inclusive with your team, or entrusting them with more responsibility in the areas where they are strong and can support you best. Our confidence in ourselves is high with Leo's influence in Mars, because Mars and Venus is in Leo this month and for most of the month. And so the confidence is going to be there that isn't always there in a Cancer season. So we'll have that undercurrent of that. And so continuing as we move into the Leo season, that confidence will stay and even expand even more. So we'll be able to rise to the occasion, and so will your team. You can trust your team to come through for you this month. If you empower them to do it, you can trust them. So it could also be that you're expanding your community or your client base. The community creation is highly likely, given the Cancer influence with the whole Leo undercurrent going on. Think about ways you can expand your community this month and action it, and figure it out as you go. Like, this is not about massive planning. This is about just doing and figuring it out as you go. And you know, I've shared a lot already about the month, but I want to just dive in briefly into the week-by-week breakdown for what we can expect. So the theme for the first week, beginning on the 5th, is this gracious receptivity. And really this is about focusing on gratitude, being receptive, especially to intuition, and also what wants to come to you physically. So support, money, gifts, adoration, all of this is about mastering self-love and how worthy you believe you are to receive all of the good that wants to come to you. So it's a very feminine week in terms of mastering when to give and nurture and when to receive. And if you were shown the past few days where you were out of balance, this is where you'll want to focus. And for most of you watching, it'll be the receiving side. The 10 energy of this card is all about mastering the flow and giving of the whole giving and receiving, right? So fill your own cup first so you have something to give. Understand that what you give comes back to you amplified, and it's supposed to be that way. So let go of any guilt you have about receiving when you're given a lot. Learn to receive with grace and gratitude, and a confidence and knowingness that you deserve it. You deserve all of it and more. It's the natural flow of the universe to amplify what you've given back to you. So when you're cutting off that flow because you don't feel worthy, you don't feel deserving, you don't have as much then to give from going forward. You're interrupting the cycle, interrupting the flow. So really practice, thank you, I'm so grateful. I'm so willing and open to receive all of the good that wants to come to me this month. It's also about knowing you've got this through practicing gratitude, right? So it can help you keep your focus on creating what you want when you practice gratitude. Be grateful for what you have, yes, but also feeling into the gratitude of already experiencing or having your big vision. When you get into that feeling state and feeling what it's already like, this is how we create, right? So gratitude will help you shift your entire experience of the world around you. And the way when you do give, like that way when you do give, you can do so freely from a place of overflow versus obligation. It's hugely different, and you know this, hugely different if you feel obligated to give versus giving from overflow. And learning to give from an overflow will have a huge ripple effect of the same with other people. So they have the ability to give and receive and flow too. You're really setting example this month. It's really key to know that. So people are watching you. And knowing your values, strengths, and skills will help you keep in balance as well. So give from the places you feel strong and confident, and receive in the areas you don't. Be careful not to expect others to give to you if you're not willing and all ready to do so for yourself first. You are the source of all that you give and receive, and this is key to know. If really encompassing this within and really understanding this, you are the source of it all. So moving on Wednesday, that'll be the 7-7 day, right? July 7th in the 7th month. Your feminine intuition is skyrocketing on that day, right? It's high all month. It's really amplified, but this particular day, it can really take a new level. And all that you learned during Mercury retrograde, which is coming to a close on the same day, is going to bring clear direction and new ideas, because it's also a one energy day. So it's going to catapult you forward into motion, especially as we head into the new moon on Friday, which is the 9th. And it'll all become amplified because that's a 3 energy day. So, and with the 3 energy month on a new moon in Cancer, you're going to experience those big emotions again, right? Heightened emotional states. So really practicing self-care to keep your emotions as high vibe as possible, but also don't bypass what's coming up to be seen. So if you do have stuff coming up to be seen, trust that it's coming up to be seen, to be released, so you can really move into creating the new. It's likely that it's going to bring a close to whatever came up for you in May. So during Mercury retrograde, if you think of the themes you were experiencing, and during the eclipse season, it's probably going to be finalizing a clearing of that. So self-care, 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 and trust, the big word of the month. Trust yourself, trust the blessings of the release. The second week, beginning the 12th, is vulnerability and starseed elemental. So that's, I love these cards. They're just beautiful. This is the Beyond Lemuria deck from Izzy Ivy. Oh, I just love them. So this week is posed for a momentum and healing and emotional release that brings significant changes to the trajectory of your life. And of course, that would have been kicked off with the new moon. More emotional stuff? Yeah. Celebrate the releases though, because it's through this process that your consciousness is expanding and rippling out to the rest of the world to do the same. So know that everything that you are experiencing and working through and doing the work on to release is making a difference, not just for you, but for the world, right? So important to focus on that. Be willing to be vulnerable. You know, vulnerable like a child. As Chiron moves retrograde on Thursday, the 15th, it's a 9 energy day. So it signifies the beginning of a retrograde season that will serve you to transform old wounds in a way that catapults you forward. And you will be feeling a release this week as we move into Sunday. So a new awareness of yourself will be coming in, and you'll feel this big release and relief once you're on the other side of it. Welcome and celebrate it. That's what that 9 energy is all about, and that's what it's kicking off with the beginning of this Chiron retrograde. So don't want to forget though the fun stuff. Venus and Mars are dancing together in Leo since the month began, and they actually come together for kind of a hot date the night before the 18th. So your big awareness could have to do with current or past romantic relationships, your relationship with the opposite sex, or it may be sparked by a new one. So Venus, the day this connection occurs, and because it's a 2 energy day, that rules connections and luxury, creativity, sexuality, pleasure. and love. So the big awareness is likely to be around one of these themes, and your willingness to be more vulnerable, playful, or embrace a childlike wonder around all of this and what's possible will be really, really helpful here. So it can be a profoundly healing week if you're willing to be extremely honest with yourself. You can plant new seeds for trust of yourself and trust in others that will be amplified this month and as the year progresses. That it can just be huge if you really, do your work and focus this week. Self-honesty is the foundation of self-trust. So for how can you trust yourself if you're lying to yourself at the same time, right? You can't. So higher self and the universe know the truth. You cannot fake alignment. You cannot fake it till you make it with alignment. It just doesn't work. So trust that if you allow laughter and fun and curiosity and joy, playfulness, and unapologetic truth. You think about a small child and, out of the mouths of babes, right? If you allow all that to permeate your life, you will be more aligned with your inner child and, as a result, the truth of who you are, right? Because that's the core of your being. Vision even bigger this week with what you want to create the way a child would, like without any limits, right? Allow yourself to really fantasize and get into the fun of the mental creation. And then in going into that third week, beginning on the 19th, we've got air, which is paradigm shift, right? And paradigm shift, we will this week. As we move, we're going to move out of the watery influence of Cancer, and we're going to move into fiery Leo on Thursday, the 22nd. And that's going to bring in some optimism and joy as well as assertiveness. And Leo's the lion, the king, the true leader, right? And we're being called even more now to step into our roles as such in leading the consciousness shift. So really, really understanding that we are so needed at this time. And adding to the call is the full moon that happens on the following day on the 23rd in the evening of in Los Angeles in Aquarius, right? So you have to check for your own time zone if you're not in Los Angeles. But evening in Los Angeles, or possibly early the next morning for other time zones. And that full moon, so I just want to say something though, I've been watching, I have fun watching the cryptocurrency market and the market in general. And this is so not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do observe how the energies play with regarding to money. And I love watching how that all plays out. And I've just been playing around myself with, on this kind of energy, what happens with the market and stuff. So we could see the markets going up this week as the optimism and assertiveness builds, especially in cryptocurrency, tech, real estate, clean energy, food and agriculture, any industries or companies focused on expanding the greater good, especially through innovation, because of the full moon in Aquarius, and and the full moon is on an 8 energy day. So that's momentum. That's a lot but with the 3 energy month, we're talking serious amplification. So, and Venus is moving into Virgo, which is more grounded and foundational, and Mars does the same the following week, early in the week. So we're talking about bringing in more stability and, that earth energy, right? So the full moon could bring in a shocking surprise though. And because you've got that Uranus energy that rules Aquarius, right? And so that could bring an emotional intensity to the week, and, we'll be shoring up our foundation yet again. This time though, we'll have the new information and awareness gained from the week before. And we're shifting to and integrating into a more expansive perspective with the Aquarius full moon and Leo season birthing. So again, Leos are the kings and queens, right? We're being called to step into our leadership roles for the greater good because of that Aquarius influence, and assist with the consciousness shift through modeling like a new innovative foundational way of living, right? Because living from a space of heart-centered living, love, and expanded consciousness is new for everyone, right? It's new. It's the new earth energies. And we'll be inspiring people by example to do the same. We'll be assisting the consciousness shift in our own unique way. We all have our own way, and we just need to speak our truth and share our wisdom that we have, and trust that what we're sharing is enough and it's what's needed, and not judging that, you know, maybe we're not there yet or playing the comparison game. No, 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 no. We don't have time for that anymore. Like, this is really about stepping up into that leadership role. Leo is calling us to do it, and we all have something important to offer. So it's really, again, trusting, right? The big word of the month is trusting, and trust those intuitive nudges that you get. If you're nudged to get on social media and share a message, or you're nudged to reach out to a particular person, don't worry if it makes sense to you. Just do it. It will make sense later, and you'll figure it out as you go. And you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. It's just about, you know, stepping up and doing it. So this energy is also about using technology to your advantage, right? Uranus is all about that. Aquarius is all about that. And to reach as many people as possible to help you communicate clearly and effectively. So I see people using the internet even more than ever before, and maybe some new innovative ways. Maybe there'll be new platforms or new technologies that come out in order to help us do that. And our messages will be rooted in the love and trust that we've been developing in ourselves these past several months, to higher levels, and showing and guiding others to do the same. So it's really going to be about that. And remembering how worthy you are to receive all of your big visions is going to play a big role in how well you model for other people. So what did you learn as the month began about receiving and your worthiness? You need to be solid in your self-worth in order to model it for others. Trusting, believing, and PETA, if you're a brain game student, you know what PETA is: prioritizing emotions and then taking action. So really not taking any action until you have that inspired action, that inspiration. You've got your emotions into the state that you want to create from, right? Really important. And we'll be modeling that for other people, because there's so many people who haven't been practicing with this yet and don't know how to do this. And they're just starting to wake up, and they need our guidance. They need us to model it for them. So stay focused on your intentions and your big visions, blinders on with your intuitive knowing and trust in self and source at an all-time high. Like really, really, really stepping into it and believing and trusting. We are so supported to make this shift with, and you know, with all the energetics coming in, and you know, and also as light workers and way showers, we're so supported to help support the world in doing this as well. So we have everything we need to be able to do this, and really just trusting that. Remember the way you are shifting, and the universe is guiding us step by step. So this is how we guide others to do it as well. So if you don't feel like you've completed all the steps, it doesn't matter, because you can show people how to complete the steps that you have completed. And have compassion with those that aren't where we may have hoped they would be by now, especially people closer to us, right? That can happen. But even with the collective as a whole, when we have some of these big events, we're like, oh, come on, when are you guys gonna get this, right? Compassion. Remember when you were first waking up and what it was like. Trust in the law of actualization. Trust in the planting of seeds, right? More people are shifting and expanding faster than you may realize, because the fruit or blossom comes at the end, right? Right at the end. So keep going and trust the path. Really, regardless of what you might see in the outside world, know where you're going. And then that fourth week coming in, we have awakened awareness, and we have the high heart chakra influences. And so the jumps in consciousness become more apparent as we are still riding on the full moon energy as the week opens. We realize the blessing in all of the shocking revelations that have been happening, but especially the one that just happened at this point. And most likely it'll be having to do with a further revealing of who or what is running us subconsciously, right? All those subconscious influences. And it comes as a result as like also because Jupiter is retrograding back into Aquarius, which can bring more jolts of awakening as well, because again, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So, and that's that bolt of lightning, you know, coming in and shaking things up. So we're becoming more sovereign and empowered. It's the next step into preparing to make that big leap out of our comfort zone, which is coming, and the comfort zone being the matrix, into what's possible, which is the fifth dimension, or that higher level love-based living, right? We're moving into even greater trust of our own intuition, which has been telling us the truth all along, whether we've been listening or not. And we will be listening now. So there will be an undeniable clarity this week that comes in, and we may change the way we communicate and collaborate as a collective to create innovative ways of bringing in the change we desire as a collective whole. This could be on a personal level too, but there's definitely this Aquarian collective influence going on too. So the second half of the month really gains speed, even though the whole month seems to be moving fast all along. Keep your vibe high again as much as you can. I know there's a lot of emotional stuff throughout the month, but keep your vibe high this week. Continue to be open to learning and growing so the energy will flow easier for you. And, you know, the influence of the high heart chakra, that card that I pulled, like step into all of the things you can to bring joy to yourself and others, right? There's this theme coming up about this in the second half of the month. Be the leader and the example for the consciousness shift into the high heart. Leos are leaders again. Embrace the confidence available that's coming to you with the energies, and be seen so you can lead the way forward. More people are going to be called to awaken during this time than ever, and they may be struggling with it. So they'll need your support, they'll need your compassion, they'll need your guidance. You are so needed during this time. If I haven't said that enough in this forecast, you are needed. You are needed to model this for other people and to support and help them through it. And simultaneously, we're going to be experiencing our own deepening and expansion of our awakening. So you know, we'll feel the pull to leap out of our comfort zones and into massive action by the end of the month. And then we'll find ourselves pivoting again, right, as we go into that hiccup that happens between months. So when we shift from July into August, there's going to be another pivot coming. And this time you will know the answer. Trust your intuition. You've got this. So thank you guys so much for joining me on the live or on the replay. It was so great to be here with you. And really, oh, and I see Leah's here and Rosalie. Hey guys, so glad you're here. And let me know if this resonated with you. And, you know, always trust yourself first and foremost. So take what resonates and leave the rest. If you did find this helpful or insightful in any way, and you're watching this on my YouTube channel, I invite you to click the subscribe button and set your notifications to on so you know when I've uploaded new videos. And caring is sharing. You can do this on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. So please consider sharing this video with someone you love. Have a great day and month of July, and I'll see you again with more wealth expansion tips and forecasts coming soon.